Chou Hall has everything to do with building a community. It's got all kinds of communal spaces. It's mixing space, right? It's almost more mixing space than anything else. It's the speaker forum, which is just a big mixing and convening space. It's a cafe where people want to hang out and be together. It is a set of breakout spaces where people work together in small groups. That sense of connectedness, of wanting to be together, seeing that kind of teaming activity from the very beginning. It did not take very long for this community to just sort of like make this live.
This school is really about collaboration. These intermediate spaces, I would call them, lobbies, spaces in between, the spaces at the ends of the corridors, are places that are always occupied.
So the Partnership for Preeminence, the vehicle, the 501c3, the nonprofit that we used to build the building, that was a really important catalyst for the whole project.
What I proposed to Rich was to do it as a private building, so that we wouldn't be basically going through most of the university infrastructure and bureaucracy, that we would lease this parcel from the university, and we would design the building privately, and we would make, in effect, private development decisions that were practically oriented, and we formed a 501c3.
We built the building through the 501c3, so these wonderful, very large gifts went into the 501c3. The 501c3 is the entity that contracts with the general contractor. The building gets built. So the campus provides a ground lease on the plot of land to the 501c3. The 501c3 takes that ground lease and builds a building on it. And then they gift the building back in kind to the regents. So the building is not built by the regents and the campus, it's built by the 501c3. So that's a radically different structure.
The legacy of the building was really rich because we didn't really have all the money to start the building. And Rich, through a lot of very creative financing tools, he took those out of his business handbook, did a great job of pasting the finances together.
It is very efficient in terms of fundraising because there were a lot of big donors that said, I love that structure. I'm more likely to participate as a result of it. And these were very large gifts, right? So it didn't just make the construction more efficient, it made the financing to a large extent possible.
Rich, Walter, and I really worked well together. It's almost like we were thinking alike. We would only have to talk on occasion, and we could have meetings that would take most committees hours, would only take us minutes, because we were focused on getting it done quickly, getting it done efficiently, and there was no formality and approval process that we had to endure.
It was a collaboration process with Ned and I involved with the architect, the contractor, bringing the design and cost together and tracking that through its course of development. That's the essence of collaboration. You're testing materials, you're testing schedule, you're testing cost. We use BIM, Building Information Modeling, where everything is transferred between the parties electronically. It proved itself out to be very effective in construction. We had very few change orders related to utility placement and coordination.
We also made a lot of design decisions, Walter and myself, that basically helped the architect produce the project and made it a very practical project as opposed to more of a monument type project.
One of the interesting challenges about the site was its geometry. And so we came up with this building that's an L-shaped building, but it's not an L-shaped building like this. It's a kind of unusual geometry that reflects its site. But what's great about that, in this case, is that where the two geometries come together, the space in between becomes these amazing collaborative spaces. One of the first ideas was that you could put breakout rooms facing the two different directions. So the first one was to face the courtyard, so that in the evening, for example, if you stand in the courtyard, you see people in every single one of those rooms. They're all lit up, and they're about this hive of activity.
Breakout rooms are really a way for business students to learn a trade. You're basically working with other people, you're negotiating, you're not sitting in a lecture hall just taking in information.
And sometimes you ask the students, you know, how do you like working here? They said, we love it. We love these spaces because between classes we can do our work. We can talk to our friends. We can work on our computer. One student said to me, I've arranged my entire schedule so that I never have to have classes in the other building. I thought that was great.
In terms of technology, I know we are absolutely state-of-the-art when it comes to AV. Connectivity in this building is amazing. This building was built for on a 50 to 100 year standard.
Haas has two different kinds of classrooms, tiered classrooms and what we call flat flex classrooms. The flat flex classrooms are subdividable so that they can be a smaller or bigger.
For most of the classrooms that are flat and flexible use as well, many of our faculty who used to say teaching in a tiered classroom was the only way that they could feel comfortable teaching are now saying, no, I want to teach in the flat, flexible use space. Faculty have just been thrilled with it. When they come and give a seminar here, it's sort of like, oh, well, Haas has got something going on there, right? It just adds a little bit of energy to every human capital decision that gets made.
One of the things that was very important to us is to have a real connection vertically in the building, which is many floors, and to make it as easy as possible so that people don't have to go in the elevator all the time. The stair also in a place like this becomes a very convivial and social place because as you pass through these different lobbies, you see your friends, you see your other students working, you see the beautiful landscape on this northeast view, and then you look south and you see Haas.
It's open, it's light, it's airy. It lets the students go up and down through using stairways as opposed to elevators. It has, I think, a pretty good feel.
It's materials, it's light, it's space. A driving component of this project was space. They're lobby and corridors on steroids, if you will, in a way, but not to waste space. It's not about wasting space, it's about the overall experience. Circulation. We added a set of extra stairs in the middle of the building that open up to the outside, bring light in, bring views in. It's just a beautiful, comfortable space.
You know, you're in these spaces and the light is just great and you feel like you're connected to the outside, but you're inside and it feels healthful and you feel connected.
We light harvest. We get into circadian rhythms as it gets darker in the afternoon, particularly in the winter months. We all feel that effect of maybe slowing down a little bit, maybe getting a little bit drowsy. I think that what we've got in place here mitigates that and actually makes you feel even better on a day like today.
The speaker forum location is the key. I mean, at the top of this building that has probably some of the best views from the university, of course, the bay, and it also has that surround balcony, which makes it very attractive. And it's large enough so it can accommodate now the larger business school community.
Haas has many, many interesting events. They have seminars, they have dinners, they have speakers, they have panel discussions, and there was really no place for them to happen in an elegant location. So you can set up this set of rooms in the most flexible way. There's a catering kitchen, there's amazing technology, there's an ability to stream and broadcast what wonderful events are happening here to the world.
I remember very well one day, it was a faculty meeting, we were up in the speaker forum, and one of the faculty, Lucas Davis, was up there and he was just thrilled. He was obviously super thrilled, right? But what he said to me that really got to me, right? He was talking to me and then he looked out the windows and he was pointing and gesturing to the windows and he said, and to think, you know, 3 years ago, this was just air. I love that story, right? Because it was just air.
One of the features of this building is the use of wood, and one of them is oak, and you can see it on the ceilings in this room. And the idea of this space, particularly this speaker center, is to make it a little more elegant. One of the things that's special about this speaker center is this terrace, and we wanted the terrace to be a place where students could come and study, as you can see, but also a place for events where people can spill out, where they can have a drink, where they can look at both the Berkeley Haas campus, but also at the world beyond.
We were up there and we were looking out toward the west, these wonderful redwoods, and looking out toward the east with the giant eucalyptus, and they were, you know, we're 6 floors up and they're still just right there at the treetops. Connie Chen herself said, it feels like a treehouse. And that was one of my favorite remarks as well, because it does feel that way. It's an outside-in kind of a place. The nature is out there. You feel like you're part of it. And gosh, who doesn't have good memories of tree houses, right?
The old cafe was actually buried in the bowels of the old building. This one is front and center. When you're in the courtyard, you see this cafe, Cafe Think it's called. It's based on the WELL standards, which means it's about fresh fruit, it's locally sourced ingredients, it's healthy food, and the idea of it is that a convivial, gregarious place like this is also a healthy place to work and study.
We completely redid the plaza because the plaza was I thought, cold. And the way these four buildings interact with the plaza as a hub, I think, is really exciting because the plaza now is so used. The four buildings really enclose it and make it a central meeting place in good weather.
The next story this building tells is the story about the environment. The building faces southwest, which is a very difficult orientation. In the afternoon, the west sun comes in and could be very, very hot. Part of the building that faces the courtyard has sunshades that protect all the breakout rooms that are on that side. And the top floor has solar shades that come down in the afternoon. So the building is dynamically about the environment.
The challenge here is we're dealing with a southern exposure. You want a lot of glass, we all love light. The solution are the shades. You stand in the breakout rooms, for instance, which are all located on the south exposure. You do not have any impact from the glare. You're able to see clearly through those windows.
It's the first WELL certified academic building in the country. What is the WELL standard? What's the quality of the light that's coming in and is created inside the building? What's the air quality? What's the filtration? And so every decision that's made in the building is to make it just a little bit more healthful to be in here. And I think it's very noticeable when you're in here. Most of the people are in here and think, wow, it feels healthy, for crying out loud.
It has photovoltaics up on this terrace, which are a way of harvesting the energy of the sun. It has a cistern, so we harvest rainwater and we have a cistern under the building. We have a mechanical system called chill beams, which are very, very efficient. So they only heat where they need to or cool where they need to, but it's not really like a conventional air conditioning system.
This was a long slog, right? So we started fundraising for this like 10 years ago. It's just an enormous project, and it took an enormous commitment from a lot of people. And that's the moment where it's like, oh man, that really feels good.
This is a business school. I wanted the building to reflect that, and I think it does. It's sharp, there's no wasted space, the use of materials, it's no more than it needs to be, but it really does a great job of providing the conditions and instruments to allow education to exceed in this building.
What do we stand for? For crying out loud, what does this place stand for? And there are a set of principles that we all know, defining principles that are an important part of that. The beyond yourselfness of the building. I think the naming gift was motivated, in fact, with this notion of beyond yourself, but even beyond that, I think many of the students feel that this is a place where they can be invested in one another's success. And that's a really important part of what beyond yourself means.